It's gonna be a sad one, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm so excited to get my heart broken. Words I would have never thought I would say before, but here we are. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is super fun, which is a bookish reset vlog. So like any other reset kind of video, this is going to be me prepping for the new month, just in fun book related ways. I want to talk about my March TBR, catch up on my reading journal, give you guys a small little book haul of all the books I've accumulated over February, and so much more. So let's get into it. Let's talk about all the books I got during February. So during the month of February, I received and bought about 10 books. Some of them were sent to me by publishers, authors, and then some of them I bought myself. So let's get into it. So the first book of this haul is Love, Lies, and Cherry Pies by Jackie Lau, I want to say. She also wrote Love, Lies, and Cherry Pie, which I do have the copy of that, and the premise for that is so cute. I'm pretty sure it's like fake dating, but as you can tell by this title, this book does have a time loop kind of situation. Our main female character eats some sort of like special dumplings, and she ends up reliving the same day over and over again. So very much that like Groundhog's Day trope, but during each time loop, she keeps running into the same guy, Cam, our main male character, and she'll run into him on the same day, but in like different locations, and it kind of feels like the universe is trying to tell her something, like, is Cam the way out of this time loop? So it's definitely a really fun premise. I do enjoy a good Groundhog's Day trope. The Do-Over by Lynn Painter is also a Groundhog's Day kind of book. The main female character in that relives Valentine's Day over and over again, and I absolutely loved that book. I feel like the time loop trope can feel a little bit repetitive, but it also allows the author to utilize it in such like fun and creative ways in like trying to make it different. So I'm definitely looking forward to this book. So moving on, the next book of our haul is Expiration Dates by Rebecca Searle or Sorrell. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm so bad at last names. But she also wrote In 5 Years and One Italian Summer. And even though I haven't read any of her books before, I am somewhat familiar with her works. I feel like I see her books on my Instagram feed like all the time. I'm also pretty sure that this book is a emotional read. Like just by looking at the cover and the title, Expiration Dates, that sounds like I have a heartbreak coming. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be a sad one, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm so excited to get my heart broken. Words I would have never thought I would say before, but here we are. But this is about Daphne and Jake, and there is a little bit of like some sort of magical realism going on with this book. Basically, Daphne is able to know when relationships are going to end, and so basically when her and Jake meet, she knows when this relationship is going to end. However, they have an amazing connection and amazing chemistry that she's honestly second guessing this whole expiration date kind of thing that she has going on. So yeah, I'm definitely in a world of heartbreak, but I feel like this is going to be such a good read. It's also very short, so the heartbreak and the tears won't be for long. So the next book I have is To Love and to Loathe by Martha Waters, and this is actually a historical romance, and I love a good historical romance, but I really haven't read any since I started the Bridgerton series, like literally I want to say like 2-3 years ago. But I just read the description of this book and I am already like itching to start it. So basically the main female character and the main male character do not get along. They have kind of a flirty but angsty banter going on, a little bit of enemies to lovers, but like the attraction is there. One night during a ball, they end up like doing a wager, and the wager is that the main male character will either marry within a year or the main female character has to like pay him a sum of money. Well, the things are not going well. He is not getting propositions. It's kind of going badly. So he ends up saying like, why don't we pretend to have an affair and you can just, you know, talk me up and maybe that will get the marriage courtships rolling. You know what I mean? So it's not only historical romance and enemies to lovers, but it's also fake dating. I love it. I absolutely love it. So moving on, the next book I have is Unsteady by Peyton Corinne. This is actually the second book of an interconnected standalone series. They're all hockey romances, I'm pretty sure. The first one is called Unsteady, and I have heard such great things about that book, especially if you are a huge hockey romance person like I am. Even though I haven't read the first book, you really don't have to read the books in order, but I probably will go back and read Unsteady. But this is the second book, and basically the main male character, Freddie, I think his name is, he plays hockey. It's a college romance, but he does not do well in the classroom. He struggles with things like dyslexia and ADHD, and he needs to get his grades up. His GPA is not doing well. He has an NHL contract post-grad, and to keep that contract, he has to get his grades up. Our main female character, Ro, is a hopeless romantic and also his tutor, and during these tutoring sessions, they just really are able to create a bond and a friendship and really relate to one another and find kind of comfort in each other. I'm not gonna lie, this sounds straight up my alley. It does kind of remind me of The Deal. Maybe not the friends to lovers aspect, but the tutor and the hockey player that needs to get his grades up, that kind of stuff, definitely does remind me of The Deal. But this does seem a little bit of a more emotional read because Freddie is dealing with a lot of things. Ro is in an on and off again relationship with her boyfriend, so she's got some things going on. And yeah, I've heard such great things about Peyton Corinne and her hockey romances, so I'm so excited to read this. Next up, we have Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. This is her newest release, and can we just take a moment to admire these sprayed edges? Like, that is so cute. Love it. I honestly didn't know that this book was gonna have sprayed edges until I got it. And I don't know if you can tell on camera, but like, there's also these like water drops on the cover that are like matte, so it's kind of fun. But this is a swimmer romance. I'm pretty sure they're like trying to do the Olympics or something. I don't really know much about it, but Ali Hazelwood is one of my favorite authors. She's an auto-buy author for me, so I will read anything she puts in front of me. I've never not liked an Ali Hazelwood book, but this book is a little bit of a hot topic because a lot of the book girlies did not like Deep End. I just watched Larry Reed's reading wrap up for like February, and she literally rated this a 1 star. So I'm a little bit worried, a little bit hesitant. I don't know if I'm gonna read this like super soon. I don't know if it's like on my immediate TBR, but I definitely will get to it. I don't know, I'm just a little bit torn because I hear amazing things from some of the book girlies on my Booksta. I posted that I bought this book a few days ago and they're like, I loved it. It was so fun, so different. And then you have my favorite booktubers like Larry giving it a 1 star. So I'm just a little worried. I'm just a little scared. Next up, we have Chef's Kiss by TJ Alexander. And can I just talk about how much I love the title? Like, it might not seem anything like crazy, but I probably say Chef's Kiss at least once or twice in my video when I'm like talking about a book. So I don't know, I'm just living for it. Like, I think that is such a cute title. We love a good pun because it's a romance book and they're 2 chefs. Like, we just love it. Chef's Kiss, literally, pun intended. So the next book we have is A First Time for Everything by K.L. Walther, and this is an advanced reader's copy, so it actually won't be released until June 3rd, 2025, but this is a YA romance, and basically the main female character, her brother is getting married. However, she does not know much about the fiance, so she's really trying to make an effort to bond with her future sister-in-law, and I guess it gets out that the main female character has never been kissed before. So now all the girls in the wedding party are like, we have to go get you kissed. Okay, like, it is our mission to find you the best wedding date. And it kind of is a love triangle, I'm pretty sure. I think it's the boy next door and then one of her classmates. So really cute, honestly. I love a good cutesy YA romance. I'm a huge fantasy reader and I have a few emotional reads ahead of me, so a cutesy little YA rom-com might be the perfect thing I need. So the next book I'm about to show you guys, I have actually already read, and you'll see it in my March wrap up. So I won't talk much about it, but I did buy it during February, so it needs to be in this haul. And it is The Rebel Witch by Kristen Ciccarelli, and this is the second book of the Crimson Moth duology, so it's also the last book. And if you did not know, I literally gave Heartless Hunter a 5 stars, so I don't know, there's really not much to talk about this book. I guess I can tell you what Heartless Hunter is about. It's basically a romance between a witch and a witch hunter, and it's kind of like a deceptive courtship. They're both using each other to get information. The main female character is basically like the Harriet Tubman of witches. She is helping witches escape an oppressive system to go and get their freedom and be safe, whereas the main male character, Gideon, he does not like witches. He hates them. He is actually like the head witch hunter. They end up in like a courtship of types because the book takes place in like a Regency era, but Rune, our main female character, is using Gideon for information to help her cause as the Crimson Moth, and Gideon has suspicions that Rune might not be the ditzy socialite that she claims to be and might actually be the Crimson Moth. So it is enemies to lovers. It's kind of forbidden love because they're both on opposite sides of this like topic or issue, and it is amazing. It is hands down probably one of my favorite fantasy books ever. You talk about romantasy, that book is the definition of romantasy. So this is actually our second to last book of the haul, and it is also an advanced or reader's copy, and it is Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell, and this will actually be released on April 28th, so fairly soon, next month. But I read one other book by Lisa Jewell, None of This Is True, and it's like a podcast, like true crime kind of mystery, and it was so good. The audiobook of that was just amazing. It's definitely very immersive, so I'm super excited to have an arc of her newest release. So I really don't like knowing a lot about mysteries and thrillers just because I love going in blind, but the back of the book says, he's the perfect man, he says he loves you, you think he might even be made for you. Before long, he's moved into your heart and into your house, and then he leaves for days at a time. You don't know where he's gone or who he's with, and you realize if you looked back, you'd say to yourself, don't let him in. Okay, this sounds crazy. I'm definitely super intrigued. Low-key, it kind of gives me The Boyfriend vibes from like Frida McFadden. That is my current read, so maybe that's like just me doing that subliminally. Like I think this is gonna be like The Boyfriend because I'm reading The Boyfriend, but yeah. Super excited. I really like Lisa Jewell and I like her mysteries, so I'm super excited. So the last book of this haul is very popular. It is a tried and true in the book community right now, and that is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I feel like Kristen Hanna is like a household name when it comes to historical fiction, at least right now in my eyes. I don't know. I told my mom about this book and she knew exactly who I was talking about, what the book was about, and Miss Girl does not read at all, so I feel like that says something. I feel like it's because my mom also really likes Firefly Lane, the show, and if you did not know, Kristen Hanna wrote Firefly Lane, like the TV show is based on her book, so I'm definitely really intrigued. This will be my first ever Kristen Hanna book. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a historical fiction book, and I've been told that it's a very heavy read. It takes place during World War II in like France, I think, Paris, France, and it's about two sisters and how they went down like two different paths during war and how that affects relationships like sisterhood, things like that. So I'm really excited to read this. It is a chunky book and the font is pretty medium sized. I was worried that it was going to be really small, but yeah, I'm super excited. I really haven't read a lot of historical fiction that wasn't centered around romance, so yeah. So I hope you enjoyed the little book haul segment of this video. I still have a bunch of fun little activities planned for this bookish reset, but unfortunately I have to be productive. I need to go edit a new video, so I will talk to you guys in a bit. the next day. Unfortunately, I did not end up filming anything else yesterday just because I literally spent the rest of the night editing. Editing is such a long process for me. It is so time consuming, but we are back and better than ever, and trust me when I say that I have a bunch of fun book related activities for you guys. Starting off, I am currently reading The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. This is her newest release, and normally I am not the biggest mystery thriller fan. I don't know why, but I don't really gravitate towards this genre. However, I do really like Frida McFadden and her writing style. It is so fast paced, so easy to read, very easy to get into, especially if you are new to the genre like I am. Last year I read The Housemaid and I loved it. Now technically The Housemaid is a series, but I've kind of decided not to continue that series. I read the first and the second book, but I really don't think I'm going to read the third or the fourth just because it kind of does get repetitive. I just feel like mystery and thrillers don't really need to be series. I'd much rather just read a standalone. But The Boyfriend honestly reminds me of You, like that TV show from Netflix. It has a then and now timeline and it's dual POV, and it is just like a doozy. I am just like so hooked right now. I'm about 50% in, and yeah, I just like don't ever want to stop reading it. I really don't know how to explain the plot without giving spoilers, so I might just read the synopsis so I don't give away anything that I shouldn't. But yeah, so I ended up pulling up the synopsis from Goodreads, and this is what it says. She's looking for the perfect man. He's looking for the perfect victim. Sydney Shaw, like every single woman in New York, has terrible luck with dating. She's seen it all. Men who lie in their dating profile, men who stick her with the dinner bill, and worst of all, men who can't shut up about their mothers. But finally, she hits the jackpot. Her new boyfriend is utterly perfect. He's charming, handsome, and works as a doctor at a local hospital. Sydney is swept off her feet. Then the brutal murder of a young woman, the latest in a string of deaths across the coast, confounds police. The primary suspect, a mystery man who dates his victims before he kills them. Sydney should feel safe. After all, she is dating the guy of her dreams, but she can't shake her suspicions that the perfect man may not be as perfect as he seems, because someone is watching her every move, and if she doesn't get to the truth, she'll be the killer's next victim. Like, oh my gosh. Doesn't it just make you want to pick up the book and like binge it? Because that's exactly the feeling that it gives me. So trust, okay, trust. Please pick it up. Please give it a try. And I'm not even finished with it. Like, I don't know. It's just so good. Again, it's like giving me the original Housemaid vibes, like just constantly on your toes and you're like, what is going to happen? Even though I am really enjoying reading The Boyfriend, I do think I'm gonna take a break and work on my reading journal. Right before filming this clip, I literally got the low battery notification on my Kindle, so I feel like that's the universe's way of telling me to take a break and maybe not binge read an entire book, just to enjoy the journey and go at a good and nice pace. So that is what we're going to be doing next. I started my reading journal this year. I have been wanting to start one for such a long time, but I've just been a little bit hesitant. I don't know why, but imposter syndrome was just like overtaking me. I was like, my reading journal is not going to look as cute as the other girlies, so like, why should I even try? But this year, I'm trying to kind of combat my perfectionism. I don't know, it's just like, who cares? Who cares if my reading journal isn't like the super aesthetic, beautiful looking kind of reading journals? Like, it's for me and me only. So as long as I like how it turns out and it brings me joy, that's all that matters. So let's get into it. finally finished with my reading journal and I literally cannot wait to show you guys. Now, it is probably not the most aesthetically pleasing reading journal, but I'm proud of her, okay? I literally spent probably 2 hours working on this, so please be nice to me, okay? I'm not the most creative person ever, but this is my February cover page. I don't know, I think she's so cute, very Valentine's Day themed. And then next we have my wrap up. It's just of all the books I read, my ratings, and like basically like little mini reviews. And these little pictures were actually printed through my HB Sprocket, which I got for Christmas this year, and I love it. If you have a reading journal, it like is such a game changer. It is so fun to print out little copies of the book and to like make your own stickers. And then moving on, I have all my reading stats, just how many pages I read, the genres, my average rating, stuff like that. And then I have my 5-star read and honorable mentions. I only had one 5-star in February and it was Heartless Hunter. So I just have a full page dedicated to Heartless Hunter. And I did read a lot of books from my favorite authors in February. I read a novel love story and funny story. So I felt like because I love Ashley Poston and Emily Henry so much, I had to like dedicate more than like a third of a page to those books. So I just have like a little bit of a longer review. But yeah, that is my February reading journal spread. It's not the most elaborate thing, but it is just so soothing. I put on Destiny and Sarah's podcast and I just caught up on a few episodes and it was so nice, so relaxing. If you're wanting to pick up a new hobby, highly recommend starting a reading journal. Like, it is not too late to start one, so this is your sign to start one if you haven't already. Moving on, I honestly think I'm just gonna go pick up The Boyfriend again. I really want to finish this book this weekend, so yeah. I think tomorrow though I will talk about my March TBR because even though I am a mood reader, there are some books that I am like kind of making myself read because one, it's for a video, but also I am trying to get books off of my physical TBR and I'm trying to finish series. So we have that to look forward to tomorrow. So it is the next day. It is also the last day of this bookish reset and I have some amazing news, which is that I finished reading The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden, and oh my gosh, you guys, this book made me feel like how The Housemaid originally made me feel. It had so many twists and turns. I was honestly always second guessing myself. I was trying to look for clues, trying to dissect things, and I'm not gonna lie, but I felt like I had a pretty good theory of what was going to happen and how the book was going to end, and I was totally wrong. Like, it was honestly so surprising and shocking, but it made sense. Like, one of my biggest pet peeves with mysteries and thrillers is when the plot twist is shocking and surprising, but it doesn't make sense logically. Like, it just felt like the author wanted to surprise readers, but there were like no clues or evidence to back it up throughout the story. But with this book, it honestly like made so much sense. But yeah, it just did not end the way I thought it was going to end, and I really loved it. I honestly would rate this book a 4.5. There is a reason why I always go back to Frida McFadden. I may not be continuing the Housemaid series, but I definitely will be picking up her kind of like standalone mystery and thrillers because they're just so good. Like, they always get me. And I know I mentioned this earlier, but if you like the show You, I feel like you would eat this book up because this gave me You vibes like through and through. Like, it was honestly so unsettling, and that's kind of how the TV show makes me feel. So if you like that kind of vibe, highly recommend The Boyfriend. So moving on, I wanted to show you guys all the books I want to read during March. The first 2 books on my March TBR were actually part of the book haul at the start of this video, so I'm not really going to go much into detail about what these books are about because I've already done that, but I still wanted to spotlight these books and kind of explain why I want to read them, what my thought process is, and maybe my predictions. So let's get into it. So the first 2 books on my March TBR are The Deep End by Ali Hazelwood and The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. The Deep End is Ali Hazelwood's newest release, like I mentioned earlier, and there's a lot of controversy around this book. Not like controversy like, oh, there's things going on in the book that people don't like. It's just like you either love it or you hate it. So I'm really, really excited. There's also a lot of books on my March TBR that are kind of older releases or have been on my physical TBR for a really long time. So I felt like having a new release on my TBR would be a nice change of pace, something to get myself excited about. So yeah, that is the deep end. And then the other book was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. So I am actually a senior at college, and at my college we have a book club. I'm actually the co-VP and marketing chair. So our March book is The Nightingale, and so that is why this has landed on my TBR. Not to mention, so many of you have recommended this book to me. I'm like, okay, I need to pick it up. I also really haven't ventured into the world of historical fiction, so I'm excited to kind of enter a new genre. So moving on, the next book I have is Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. This is the third and final book of the interconnected standalone series Knock 'Em Out. Knock 'Em Out is a small town found family kind of series. The first two books follow brothers Knox and Nash, and then this book follows their very close family friend Lucian. I'm pretty sure it's a friends to enemies to lovers kind of deal, and obviously it's small town, it's found family, and I'm pretty sure it's second chance. This book has been on my TBR for such a long time. I feel like it's been like a year or so. Whenever this book first came out, that's how long it's been on my TBR. That's how long it has gone unread. And the reasoning why I've been putting it off, or I've been scared to pick it up, is mainly because of the mixed reviews. When it first came out, there was a lot of hype around this book because Lucian was kind of the fan favorite. Everyone was really looking forward to his story, and for some reason, social media was just like flooded with all these negative reviews. It honestly wasn't until a few months had passed since the release that I started to hear positive things. So it just like scared me a bit. I'm like, am I going to not like this book, or am I going to love it? And then you also take into consideration that Lucian is also one of my favorite characters. So I don't know, like I'm very, very worried that the hype, or like the lack of hype, is going to get to me. But 2025 is the year that I read books off my physical TBR and I finish series. So that is why Things We Left Behind has made it on my March TBR. So the next book on my March TBR is The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent. This is the third book of the Crowns of Nyxia series by her. The first two were The Serpent and the Wings of Night and The Ashes of the Star-Cursed King, which were fairly popular reads, but this book centers around a new main character who we met in the first two books, Mishka or Mishk, I don't know. She is the friend of the main male character from The Serpent and the Wings of Night. She used to worship the sun god, and when she was turned into a vampire, he kind of abandoned her. He no longer talked to her or communed with her, and basically this book is kind of her revenge story. She gets captured by this like vampire prince, and she's kind of forced in this position to help him go on this mission, but she kind of sees this as her road to redemption, but also, again, revenge, because she wants to turn on the vampire prince in the hopes that her sun god will take her back in his favor. And yeah, I love Carissa Broadbent so much. She is such an amazing fantasy author. I feel like her world building is like top tier. It feels so immersive. Not to mention, The Serpent and the Wings of Night was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely loved it. So I'm very, very excited to dive right back into this world and this series. Moving on, we have Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh. So I actually soft DNF'd this book. I wasn't that far in. I was probably like 50 pages in. And Keeping 13 and just like the Boys of Tommen series as a whole is a very emotional series. And I honestly just wasn't in the best headspace to read something as emotional as this series. But I think I'm finally in the right time and place to pick up this book again, to carry on Shannon and Johnny's story. And I am just so excited. So the Boys of Tommen series is a YA series. Each couple gets 2 books. So Binding and Keeping 13 are about Johnny and Shannon. Shannon has been through so much, and she's been bullied basically her whole life, which is why she ended up transferring to Tommen College. And from the get-go, Johnny and Shannon have this like bond and chemistry like no other. Even though Johnny is like actively trying to avoid Shannon, they just can't help but to kind of become friends and like have this relationship. And yeah, I am just like so excited to continue on this series. Most of the books are on KU, so I will probably be utilizing my Kindle to read this because this is a big book, okay? I cannot wait to see how Johnny and Shannon's story unfolds and ends. I feel like in the first book, the romance was really picking up, so I'm excited to see where that continues. So that was my March TBR. I hope you enjoyed. I think I'm gonna end the video here, but thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Comment down below what are some books that you would like to read during March if you want more bookish resets in the future, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my videos. I have a lot of fun things planned, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.